পক্ষ থেকে পশ্চিমবঙ্গের সংরক্ষণের অনুপ্রাণিত করতে গল্প বলার ব্যবহার এবং বিষয়ের তৃতীয় ওয়েবিনারে আপনাদের সকলকে স্বাগত জানাই। আমরা আজ আপনাদের সিনিয়র সম্পাদক worldAtlas.com এর ডক্টর ঐশিমায়া সেন নাগ ম্যামকে পেয়ে খুব সম্মানিত বোধ করছি। অনুগ্রহ করে সকলে শৃঙ্খলার স্বার্থে আপনাদের মাইক্রোফোনগুলি মিউট করে রাখুন এবং বিশেষজ্ঞের কাছে কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা থাকলে তা আপনাদের প্রশ্নগুলো জমে রাখুন, পরে জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারবেন। Welcome all to the third webinar of Amader Bengal under the theme of environment on the topic using storytelling to inspire conservation in West Bengal. We are honored to have senior editor World Atlas.com Dr. Oishimaya Sen Nag ma'am with us this section. Please keep your mic muted for discipline and save your question to be asked to expert. Now I request to Mr. Pratik sir, Operation Director Sharbodaya Rice Foundation, to welcome our expert and provide a program overview. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Shiva Brata. So good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Okay. So myself, Pratik, the operations lead at The Rice Foundation. First of all, on behalf of the whole The Rice family, I welcome Dr. Oishimaya. She is not just a compelling wildlife conservation storyteller, but also one of the most used authors at The Rice. We are delighted to have you with us to share your experience and insights on wildlife storytelling and how it can transform West Bengal's wildlife future. But before that, let's set the context right. Why this Amader Bengal webinar? You see, West Bengal has one of the most diverse wildlife landscapes, right from the Himalayan foothills in the north, hosting some of the most majestic one-horned rhinos and Indian elephants, going down south to the Sundarbans, hosting the magnificent Royal Bengal Tigers and the elusive fishing cats. Of course, the aquatic ecosystems only add to this diversity, be it the saltwater crocodiles, or the gangetic dolphins, or the olive ridley turtles. But do you observe something peculiar here? The names of all the species that I just mentioned are in fact in fact, more than 1,000 of the Indian species which are there in the IUCN Red List, more than one third of those have habitats in West Bengal, around 350 or so. Just a few hundred of the Bengal floricans now survive. Thousands of wild boars, Bengal monitors, flying foxes, and barking deers get at the altars of illegal ritualistic hunts every year in West Bengal. Saddening numbers, right? But the tragedy is this: we all know the reasons, but rarely do any of us act in this universe of diffuse responsibility. We all know that habitat fragmentation disturbs the migration patterns of elephants. We all know that wetland encroachments snatch away the few remaining homes of the fishing cats. We all know that plastic ingestion and polluted waters threaten the one-horned rhinos. And we all know the numbers, don't we? It seems that we all are in a universe of compassion fatigue, numbed by the data-heavy arguments. And it is here that wildlife storytelling, the work that Dr. Oshimaya does so well, comes into the picture. Touching the emotional chords and transforming apathy into empathy is what drives the wildlife conservation beyond government policies and legal enforcement. Highlighting the best practices, bringing to light the ages-old cultural embeddings of wildlife in our civilization, and challenging established exploitative norms are the things that are best done through stories. Just to illustrate this better, does any one of us know about the Hargila army movement in the state next door, Assam? Does anyone know what was the one remarkable thing that they did that helped them successfully conserve the greater adjutant store? That one remarkable thing was using stories and folk songs to change the way people viewed the greater adjutant stock, to give an image makeover to the greater adjutant stock. From a dirty, unlucky nuisance whose nests needed to be destroyed to one whose birth had to be celebrated with baby showers. And so, if we truly want to bend the wildlife curve in West Bengal from extinction to resurgence, then stories are indeed the best path to inspire actions. I know that several of the Amader Bengal interns have some component of grassroots insights in their tasks, and I know that Dr. Oshimaya is an expert in capturing the grassroots stories and using them to inspire policy reforms. So I will keep it till here and encourage our interns to utilize this opportunity to interact with her in the best possible manner. Welcome, Dr. Oshimaya, once again. Thank you and Jai Hind. Shiva Brata, over to you.
Yes, yes, sir. Now I request our editorial director, Seya ma'am, to share a brief profile to our esteemed guest.
Thank you, Shiba brother. So, good evening, everyone. I know you all are very excited for the session, but before our honorable expert begins her address, let's take a moment to know her remarkable journey. Dr. Oshimaya Sen Nag is a wildlife conservation storyteller, wildlife science communicator, and a senior editor at worldatlas.com. She holds a PhD in Parkinson's disease research from the University of Calcutta. Post her PhD, she transitioned into the field of conservation storytelling. She works across documenting community led conservation initiatives with a strong focus on human wildlife interaction and the role of culture, tradition, and indigenous knowledge in shaping conservation outcomes. Dr. Seen Nag also collaborates with organizations such as the Bombay Natural History Society, the Tourism and Wildlife Society of India, supporting their communications effort. Her work spans articles, podcasts, seminars, and webinars, and has been published on platforms including World Atlas, The Rise, Outlook Traveler, Round Glass Sustain, The Ground Report, The Quill, and the Global has transformed India's cultural conservation ethos.
First of all, thank you, Ms. Yadav, Pratik, Shivabrata, for the warm introductions, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to be part of this session here. Before I begin, I would like to just know a bit of the background about the interns, if possible. So that I can understand, like, from where their knowledge and from where they come, and talk accordingly. Yeah. Yeah. If anyone can explain to me, like, their background, which field they're coming from, or like it's different fields and all. Yes.
Yes. So Dr. Vanshimaya, they are mostly from the social science background, and they are usually graduates and postgraduates, researchers that are working on public policy with the RISE.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, understood. Great. So thank you, everyone. And first of all, I would like to congratulate the interns because RISE is a fantastic platform to, launch your writing career and to write amazing stories. And of course, now because this is about wildlife conservation, and it is something, whatever field you come from, it really doesn't matter because we are ultimately all of us connected with nature, and we all must contribute in our own ways to conserving nature, and we can do so. And so I'll just begin from the basics, about conservation storytelling. And anytime you have questions, please ask me. If you want, you can open your cameras also, and it would be a better interaction if you want to do that. That's completely fine. So I think let me just begin with the basics of what is conservation. And if any of you want to answer this question, please let me know. Like, what is conservation to you? What is wildlife conservation to you? To answer? Yes, please, Shobit. Please unmute and answer. Yes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Yes, please.
Okay. Uh, Ma'am, wildlife conservation Am I audible, right?
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Ma'am, wildlife conservation means to conserve the nature and try to create a balance where we can develop and yet conserve the nature's building block. So we can arrive a harmonious way where development and and environment can work hand to hand to create a better future.
Absolutely, absolutely right. So conservation, when we talk about wildlife conservation, it does not always mean that we're just protecting the animals or the plants, but it's actually overall the entire system we are conserving, and of course it benefits us. That's, I mean, that is one of the biggest things, that like conservation is not just about the other species; it's also about us protecting our future as well. Because right now everything that we use, right from our basic necessities of air, water, food, to our transport systems, to our daily use substances, everything is raw material, comes from nature. So till we conserve that, our future, in the future, things, the resources would become limited, we would run out of resources, and we would have a bleak future for ourselves. So conservation is not just that we are protecting other species, it's about protecting ourselves as well. And another thing also in conservation is that we also protecting the cultural diversity also, because nature influences our culture also. Every culture you see in the world that is there today, especially the ancient cultures and our Indian cultures, they all revolve around nature worship, nature traditions related to nature. So when we conserve the wildlife, the environment, we are also conserving a cultural diversity. And also another reason why we need to conserve is, one is for like because of our own economic aspiration for our own needs, but also as as a duty to conserve other species, because we take so much from nature, but we are also a part of nature, so it's just giving back also is a reason why we need to conserve. So this is basically about conservation itself. And now, how do we actually execute conservation? So one is we can directly execute conservation in the sense we go to the field and we start working, because that is, for example, the forest department staff. They are protecting our protected areas. They conduct patrolling, they manage the systems, they ensure there is no poaching, and so on. So basically, they perform the duties to protect the protected areas of West Bengal. Then we have the NGO workers, who are working on the field, who are trying to work with communities to get support for conservation, to protect the animals and plants. We have the wildlife researchers who are contributing to conservation. But all of this requires, overall, what we actually need in conservation is mass involvement. And mass involvement will only come when we create awareness among the masses. And that is, of course, through storytelling. So, that is the importance of storytelling, that is bringing people into conservation and preventing people from doing wrong things to the environment, to wildlife. So storytelling is extremely important in that way, and it's also about creating empathy among the people, so that they get inspired to contribute to conservation. And another aspect why we need to do storytelling is because of also documentation. Because if you see now the books that we have related to the species, insects, tigers, they are mostly from the colonial times. We Indians are fantastic at protecting our species during the hunting of our species, but at the same time, the British, what they did was they documented very well, and we lack a habit of documentation, and that is where storytelling also comes in. So we can also document. We need to document what we have about the habitats, about the species. So these are all the uses of storytelling. So one is education and awareness creation. Second is inspiring, motivating people to come into the field of conservation. Third is, of course, creating a compassionate and empathetic world that understands nature and that wants to work for nature. And fourth is, of course, documentation. Is documenting the information, the data that we have. So all this we can achieve through wildlife storytelling. Now, how to tell stories, right? That is the most important factor. What I think, what according to you would be the most important factor in wildlife storytelling? Can anyone please tell me the answer? What according to you is the most important factor while writing a wildlife story? Oh, yeah, please, Shamit, please answer.
Uh, Ma'am, the big part about writing a storytelling related to wildlife animals is to make them more humanized, so that the human population do not feel threatened and feel a need to conserve them and understand by their survival. Their survival and food also depend on that. So connecting all these things and getting to a common ground where the common people can come and conserve the wildlife animals, rather than feel threatened by them.
Yes, so truly to present wildlife in a way, that is one of the reasons, one of the aspects of storytelling should be that presenting the species, creating people's compassion for that species, so that they feel motivated to protect it. Of course, so that is in a way you are saying that we need to create a more compassionate audience, for the species. So that is most important. Storytelling should evoke emotions in the people. It is only when you are evoking the emotions in the people when you feel when the people feel motivated enough to contribute to conservation. And for that, you can use a number of ways, which I will come to later. And so another thing is like, if you so when you start the storytelling, how will you evoke the emotions? First of all, you yourself must feel for the cause you're writing on. You must have your own, strong feeling that why am I going to write this article? What is the cause, for this article? So yourself, you must be motivated to write the article. Then only you can motivate others to write the article. Now, your motivation can come from different aspects. So, in wildlife conservation, you have the species specific articles where you're concentrating on a certain species. Suppose you want to talk about the fishing cat, or you want to talk about the Bengal tiger, or you want to talk about the red panda. So, a species specific approach you can take. Depending on what species you want to write about, you can write about that. Or it can be a habitat specific approach. Maybe you want to write about wetlands. You are very concerned about a lake near your home that is getting degraded, getting polluted, and the species in it are dying. So you might be concerned about that and you want to write about that. It doesn't have to be very far off objects, far off things. It can be within your city, within your town, within your village. Whatever you see is concerning for the to you. You can write about that. As it's a duty of a citizen, and that way you become a storyteller. You just want to write about what is happening around you. Third approach can be community specific approach. That is community. When we talk about wildlife conservation, a very important term that comes in is community or local community, and that refers to the people who are settled around that habitat. Like if it's a protected area, if it's a tiger reserve, the people living around the tiger reserve, they are called the local community of the area. Similarly, people living in a wetland area, they are the local community of that area. So you can focus on these people, their lives, how they are related to that habitat, how they are related to the species, and you can write about that. Maybe you belong to a local community as such. You can write about your own community and about the habitat in which you all are living and how it is affecting and it is getting degraded. So this is a community specific approach. It can be species specific, it can be habitat specific, it can be community specific, or you can also write about the other stakeholders in conservation. What is stakeholders? Those whose actions are important to make conservation happen. So stakeholders of community is one of the stakeholders. Then you have got the forest department, you have got the media, you have got the wildlife researcher, you have got the NGO worker, any individual else who is part of, who can contribute to the conservation cause, or whose life gets affected by when conservation doesn't happen properly. So they are the stakeholders. So you can write stories on them also. Maybe there's a forest officer, a very brave forest officer, who has nabbed a poaching gang. You can write about his work or her work, and that can inspire the youth to come into the field of forestry. You can write about an NGO that's doing excellent work to protect the species. So that way also you can inspire others to take up the same kind of work. So stakeholder specific approach. So many ways you can tell stories. You can take an approach to tell the stories. But the basic thing in this should be you should be able to connect with the stories also. Because when you only care about the subject, then only you can write properly about it. But again, it's not important not that just you care about it, but also you have to make others care about it. So the connection should be established between you, the subject you're talking about, and the readers. So there should be a proper connection. For example, suppose you're writing about the fishing cat, and the fishing cat, it's a cat, it's a wild cat. It's around the size a bit larger than the domestic cat, and it is found in the wetland areas. And as its name suggests, it feeds on fish. It loves to eat fish, and Bengalis we often associate with eating fish. So you can connect the fishing cat with the fish, and you can write about the species, and people will be interested. And also, most of us don't know that the fishing cat is a state animal of West Bengal. It's quite sad we do not know that, but definitely that's a message also you should give out. Another example is like when you want to connect with people, like Darjeeling. Like recently, last year, I went to Darjeeling. And I think Bengalis, we usually, when we grow up, our parents always take us to Darjeeling. Most of us have gone to Darjeeling hill station. It's part of our, growing up. And this time when I went to Darjeeling, I was quite sad to see the changes that I saw there. The Darjeeling of my childhood is no more, because there's been so much deforestation, there's been so much pollution that the queen of the hills is now really, in a sad state. And I felt very sad when I saw that. So maybe something like that, when you feel you can, and this will connect with other people also who have grown up seeing the other side, the other beauty of Darjeeling, and now they are seeing a different side. So maybe you can tell stories about Darjeeling this way, about how it has changed over the years, how the childhood Darjeeling is no more. So this is how you can evoke the emotions of people and talk about connections with nature, and then you can tell the stories beautifully. So these are the different approaches. So now we have established the connections, but it is how do you start the article then? So you should have every article should be like a story, and because you're telling it's a story, right? Storytelling. So it should have a proper flow. Like it should have a beginning. So before writing, think about what you're going to write. There should be a proper beginning. There should be a proper ending. It should be a flow and structure, not like haphazardly you put in points from everywhere and try to form an article. It should be a properly structured article. So that is very important. And so then the introduction part again is a very, very important part of every article. So once you have chosen your topic, the how you will connect with the people, how you are connected with it, why you are writing that topic, what is its importance, then you start thinking about the structure of the article. The introduction should be something that will introduce people and evoke their interest. It should be the most interesting part of your article. The introduction will definitely attract people to read the rest of the article. So in the introduction itself, you have to say what you're writing about, why you're writing about it in a very interesting manner, so that people will want to read the rest of the article. It is there you have to establish the connection in the introduction itself, so that people read the rest of the article. So that's how you will start the article. And another thing that's very important while you write an article is be very careful about factual accuracy. So see, you have written, you're telling a story, you are evoking emotions and all, that's great. But if an article is factually incorrect, then it's going to be a very sad state, very bad for the publication itself. So, you all have coming from different backgrounds. So therefore, don't try to start with very complicated articles or very complicated topics. You should start from the basics so that you can go forward and write more complicated articles. But don't start initially with very complicated articles in conservation, where you will find it difficult to understand the facts and write them down. So search for topics that are easier to write, that you can connect with, and that will also help other people enjoy the article, but at the same time where you can be factually correct. Every fact that you present, you must verify it properly. Go to the different sources on the internet which are reliable sources. You should learn how to research for reliable sources. Go to scientific publications, media stories. Go to websites which are government websites. So those kind of reliable sources from you, where you get the information, the data. Try to interview experts if you are unable to understand. Try to find their connection emails or phone numbers online. Connect with experts, learn about the topic from them, and then you start doing writing your story. So it should be also very much factually accurate. And another thing is very nice if you can, find a cultural angle to your storytelling, the stories that you tell, because culture always helps connect with people very nicely. Maybe some folklore associated, as Pratikji was saying, about the Hargila. I really admire Purnima Devi Bormon from Assam. She is a research scientist who has this hargila. That's a bird which is known is not known it was not known for its looks. It doesn't look good according to most people. Of course, to me every species looks good, but to many people it did not look good. It was considered a bad omen. But this lady, she converted this bird into a celebrity just through storytelling. She told stories about it. She linked it with folklore. She wrote, made poems about it. They wear saris, that, or they wear dress apparels that have the motif of the animal. And she has now gone all across the world, spreading the message of conservation of this endangered bird. So that is how you tell stories. And whatever background you are from, as long as you can make people connect with you, then you will always succeed in your storytelling attempts. So that is very important if you can get a cultural angle to stories. For example, the Sarus crane. I mean, I myself am yet to see the Sarus crane. I would love to see. It's my bucket list species. The Sarus crane, they are a pair of the tallest birds, and they pair for life. So Sarus crane, male and female, they will pair for life. And if one of them dies, the other cries in sorrow and dies. And it is a truth. And these birds are also very beautiful and elegant looking. So the Sarus cranes are linked to many love stories, romantic stories, folklores. Even they mention this in the Ramayana epic. So, if you can bring in these kind of angles to your storytelling, you talk about the mythological aspects, talk about the folklores, and other connections associated, cultural connections associated with these animals. Another example I'll give you is in North Bengal, in the Dwars region. I wrote a story for the Rise on that. The elephant, is worshipped as the Mahakal god. Very interesting, because elephant over there often enters crop fields in the Dwars region, and it destroys the crops. Basically, it eats, finishes the crops of the farmers, and they suffer economic losses. But at the same time, these people believe that the elephant is a god. They have a belief system where they consider it to be the Mahakal god. And sometimes, therefore, they often, even if the elephant is coming and raiding the crops, they tolerate the elephant. They say that it is a god coming and feeding on our crops. Next year, we will have a good crop. And this kind of belief, it actually helps in people and wildlife live together. It For years this has been so, and so these kind of folklore, these kind of cultural beliefs, if you can explore, if you can write about, it's quite interesting. That also helps you connect with the audience, because this is very interesting. So try to involve these cultural aspects in your storytelling, which would be great. And also try to find unique angles to your storytelling. So do proper research. So many people always are writing now about the climate change in the Sundarbans. So it's full of articles, and there are hordes of articles on this topic. Very important topic, definitely to cover. But at the same time, try to find newer topics, and also even about lesser known species. Like tigers are covered very much, because tigers are charismatic species. Most people want to write about tigers. But there are many more interesting species in West Bengal. Even the Bengal florican, as Pratikji mentioned, Bengal florican is disappearing. It's just almost like it will be extinct in the maybe the next few years if we do not pay attention to its conservation. So the Bengal florican you can talk about. So I think all of you are coming from sociology and other backgrounds, but what I'm talking about is nature, and I think all of you should be able to connect with nature, with all these species, because it's a fundamental duty to protect all this we have, and only if we have proper biodiversity conservation, we conserve our environment well, will we do well in our other careers also. Otherwise, we have so recently I was for last 10 days I was there in the Satpura National Park in Madhya Pradesh, and I was doing some documentation work there. And I was working day and night, like in the heat. It was quite warm in the morning with the sun shining bright, and I had to go to the villages there and document. Then I was doing safaris in the forest. There were long walks in the forest. There were treks in the forest. So much was there, but I never fell ill. I was so fine. Every day I came home and had good pure food. I breathed pure air, and it was so fine. When I entered Kolkata, I started, sneezing. I started having coughs, and I have developed a kind of fever. So, this is what is going to happen to us. We have everything with us, all the materialistic things and all, but our basics would be gone if we do not pay attention to nature. So I think all of you, therefore, can play a very important role by telling stories of the environment. So therefore, again, I'm just going to summarize what is needed for good storytelling. One is evoking the emotions, connecting with the story yourself, and connecting others to the story. Factually being accurate, trying to find a unique angle, trying to find a cultural angle to it, and a proper structure of the story, very strong introduction, and ending maybe you can do with a positive note, and that's where you can write a beautiful story. And of course, now I think you can ask me questions about the details and also. Please go ahead. Yeah. Yes, Yashasvi. Yeah, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. You are audible. Yes.
Okay. So this was a very great session, ma'am. Thank you for
Thank
doing this
you.
today.
Thank you.
Your session was very informative for me, and I belong from Varanasi, and Varanasi is facing a major issue of Ganga pollution. The
Yes.
schemes that have been launched
Mhm.
in like a decade ago have failed to achieve its goal. So, and I'm a research intern, so I would, I would like to write something related to Ganga because Varanasi is a city that is deeply entrenched with religious beliefs and traditional beliefs, which often oversee environmental and sustainable impact. So, how can one write for such an audience?
True. Okay. So when you're talking about Varanasi, actually, I was born in Varanasi, so I'm very much also linked with my grandparents from Varanasi. It's a beautiful city, and I love Varanasi so much. But yes, it's sad to see what's happening to the Ganga. It's happening to rivers all across India, mostly. And they are getting polluted. And rivers are again, a very less told ecosystem, like stories. We mostly talk about forest when we talk about wildlife conservation. Rivers are not very much covered in our conservation storytelling. And I think when you're going to write about Varanasi, since you are from Varanasi, if you talk about the Ganges, you talk about your, how you have seen it change over the years from your own angle, your own perspective. That would bring in a beautiful story, because when you write about what you saw as like as a child, I grew up, you can that way you can bring the emotions, and I saw it change over the years. Today it is this, I love the Ganga, but this has happened. So when you start talking in that angle, your own emotional angle, and I think people will connect with it. So I think, yeah, that way you can write. So, anything else you want to know in details about this?
Not for now, but I'll surely
Yeah.
connect to you in future if I
Yes,
actually
yes.
write about
Sure,
it.
sure, sure. You must write about it. Yeah, about the
Yes, ma'am.
Ganges. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Most welcome. Yes. Yes. Anyone else would like to ask a question? Yes, please, Arundhati.
Good evening, ma'am. So,
Good evening.
this session has been very interesting, and
Thank you.
my question to you would be, in this internship, I also have to do ground report and field survey related stuff. So,
Right.
I just wanted to ask you, how do you conduct ground reporting for your conservation stories, and what research techniques do you use to do
Oh,
such?
okay, sure. I'll answer. So my focus is more on one aspect I work on is wildlife science communications, but I'm not going into that now. What you can work on what's your background? I would like to know.
Um, I'm currently pursuing my honors degree in pol science.
Okay, so I think you can work with the community related aspects that would be great for you, which I focus on currently. I think so. First of all, since you are into this field, it's new to you. I would suggest you find some issue, something, some conservation story that you want to tell that's near you, somewhere near you, the place that you know, the people you know. Go there, visit the site. Suppose where are you from actually?
I'm currently residing in Kolkata, but I'm originally from Haldia.
Haldia. So in Haldia or in Kolkata, wherever is comfortable for you, if you find there is suppose a lake that's or a river or maybe even a pond ecosystem that's getting degraded, or maybe people littering somewhere and cutting. There's some construction work is coming up that is cutting a forest ecosystem out, a small forest ecosystem maybe. Whatever it is happening around you, go to the place, visit the place, and start talking. Start talking to all the people. What I do is like suppose I identify a threat, and I go to the villages, the local communities living nearby, and I start speaking with them about and you have to connect with the people easily. Just make them feel very comfortable. Just go into their homes. They're very warm and welcoming. Usually, the local communities in the rural areas. Urban areas, sometimes you have to, convince them a bit more. But in rural areas, they are very warm and welcoming always. They allow you to come and interact with them, sit with them, talk with them. And that's what I do. I go to their homes, I talk with them, learn about them, and always everything you are going to use, because if you're going to quote them in the article, always take their permission and record them. Record it either in a recorder or in a video format. So record the permissions before using their codes. So do that. And along with that, see, conservation has different stakeholders, as I mentioned. So you have the local community, you have the scientists, forest department. So try to understand the subject from by talking to all the experts. So you can connect with the maybe a scientist who is associated with that habitat or the species, and you can find it, do your online research and find that person's contact email or phone number, call them up. Just have no inhibitions in doing all this. Connect with them and try to understand the topic from them. Tell them, I'm from this foundation, I want to write this article, so please, can you help me with the topic? I would like to quote you in the article, or maybe just for understanding, I want to learn this. So speak to the person and take the permission to record what they are saying, so that you can use it later in your article. So that you can interview them that way, and for the local communities, you can actually visit their homes and villages. So you have to learn about the issue from the people themselves. The habitat won't speak, the species won't speak. It's the people who will speak to you about the issue. So you go to them, talk to them, and then you start compiling your article based on all the information you collect. Is that okay? I mean, you have any further questions?
No, this was perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to ask?
Yes,
Shobit, would you like
Shobit.
to? Yes.
Shobit, you are.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I find that, ma'am, the rural and the, ma'am, tribal people are more concerned about the environment and river and everything else. Ma'am, we haven't seen that much of activeness and sensitiveness in the urban area. From the city where I come, there is a river called Gomti, and it's been
Mm-hmm.
continuing being polluted from last 30 years, I must say. There
Mm-hmm.
have been plans to clean it, but it didn't help a bit. Uh,
Right.
so, ma'am, the river is the lifeline of the city, and every
Yes.
people know that. But still, the urban population here is not much aware about or not much active to make it conservation or make it to
Right.
clean it. So, ma'am, how can we make the ma'am urban population more connected with the nature, and
Yes.
it is the nature that giving them life and sustainability.
Yes, yes, true. Absolutely. I mean, I think rural people are still connected with nature much more than we urban people are, and which is the reason behind is, of course, the urban, as we get more urbanized, we get more disconnected with nature. You know, we develop, want more space. We become, bigger consumers. We want more and more to consume more and more, and as we consume more, our space for nature gets both in our hearts. It also becomes less, and also in the outside in our cities, the space for nature starts diminishing. That's why the urban people are less connected with nature. But to bring them back to nature, I think first of all you need to target the youth. Maybe you can write a story. You know, first of all, storytelling is one of the means, as I mentioned, for mass awareness and education. So try to write a story targeting the youth. You talk about, what the youth, and you can connect maybe the river with the youth and how it's going to affect their future. How, as a young person yourself, you grew up seeing this river, or you're seeing this river change, and what you want to do about it, how you're feeling about your future, and how others should also be concerned about their future because this river is getting so polluted. So you can, as a youth yourself, and you can evoke the same kind of emotions that you have in the other youth of your city by writing a very strong article about this topic. And after writing the article, which will already present what is happening, it will have the facts, it will have the connection and everything. You have the article with you. You can use that as a base then to start activism about the river in your city. You can start collecting, say like-minded people. You can show them the article that this is what is happening. This is the published thing that we have now, and then you can start, doing activism and start, working towards the conservation of the river. That's how you can go step by step. The article first, and then gradually you can start working to collect other people, same-minded people, to work towards this conservation. Every individual can do amazing things. And I've seen in this field, that I know people like there's a person who is from a tourism company. He's just a tourism owner. He has no other previous experience in conservation, no studies in the field. Today he is with his own initiative conducting a conference in conservation, that's bringing people, all experts, all the top experts from all over the country to his conference. And it's a great platform he has provided, so that people can exchange ideas in conservation. So as an individual, he has done this. Many people I know, as individuals, you can do amazing work, if you want to, for conservation. There's immense potential in the field, and people from every field can come and contribute, because after all, it's basically nature, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It's part of us. It's in our DNA, and we can protect it if we want it. So yes, yeah. I mean, would you
Thank you,
like to
ma'am.
ask any further questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to ask a question?
Anyone else? Please go ahead with your questions. It's a good opportunity. You can ask.
Any question you have related to anything, you can talk about anything that's happening around you that you've seen in your locality around you that you're concerned about. Just you can talk about. If you Even if you don't have questions, you can just talk about it here if you want.
Okay, I have one question, Dr. Oishimaya.
Sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So I wanted to know about your recent visit to the Satpura National Park,
Yes,
and how did you
sure.
interacted with the local cultural communities over there, and
Yes.
tell us some interesting thing about the Satpura.
Yes, yes. So I was covering the, Madhya Pradesh is the highest number of tribal communities in India. I think it's around 44 or something number of tribal communities. And I'm working on a book related to the tribals, the diversity and how they are related to nature. Because the people, tribal communities are forest people mostly, and their culture is very much revolving around nature. Everything related to their culture is very much wrapped around nature. So that's what I wanted to study. And in Satpura, we have the Gond tribal community. Gonds are a massive tribal community. They're spread across several states, but in Madhya Pradesh, near Satpura, they have a huge concentration. So, I wanted to know how they have survived in the forest for so long, and what are their thoughts now. And their cultures that are disappearing. And another thing that, I think the interns here can cover are these tribal cultures that are disappearing. Today, the Goan youth, they hardly know about their past. But it's so interesting, I'll tell you one interesting thing I found, that they used to hunt. Okay, so when we talk about hunting, it's definitely very bad, and we totally discourage hunting in India, and hunting of wildlife is completely banned. So these people in the past, they used to hunt because it was part of their life before hunting bans were introduced in India. But how scientific their hunting was, that's what I wanted to say. That each this Gaul community, they had their different clans, and each clan, they tattooed in their older times. They used to have the tattoo which they call Gondana. Okay, and they used to tattoo one bird, one animal, and one plant. Every clan or gotra we call, they used to have that. So those three species you will not kill. If you belong to that tribe, you won't kill those three species, and you will prevent others from killing those three species. So similarly, every gotra had different set of these birds and animal and plant. So in this way, they would never overhunt species out. So that was so interesting. I mean, that's how they are so connected to nature. And they hunted in a very scientific manner. Unlike the indiscriminate hunting that happened, during the British period, where every animal was killed like anything, like even the Maharajas joined to them. But these tribal people, the tribal cultures were so they maintained the ecosystem balance in this manner. That I found very, very interesting about them. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Oishimaya.
Yes.
It was great. Shiva Brother, please come in.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insight on this in the topic. I have one question. Can I add theory of change in this article?
So, in what manner? Which article you're talking about?
Conservation related article.
Like, how do you want to introduce that?
Introduce.
Sorry, I mean, I could not understand what you're saying. Yeah.
First structure actual introduction. Then can I add theory of change?
You can ask me if you want. You can ask me in Bengal if you want also.
ম্যাডাম ফার্স্টে কি আমি সূচনা দিয়ে দেন থিওরি অফ চেঞ্জ অ্যাড এরকম করে দেন শুরু করতে পারি, মানে কনজারভেশন রিলেটেড কোন আর্টিকেলে?
Yes, if you think it's appropriate, যদি মনে হয় যে appropriate লাগবে, it's all on you. Like, if you think it is going to be appropriate, you can add it. As long as you know your article is going to turn out well, do whatever you want, use your own innovation, use your own experimentation, and you should have it. You should have that understanding that this is going to work well. As long as that is there, you can do that.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, sure.
Now I shall request our editorial director, Sneha ma'am, to summarize this section.
Thank you, Dr. Oishimaya. You shared wonderful insights. So Dr. Oishimaya talked about the importance of storytelling, from the educational awareness to inspiring people to join the Jan Andolan of conservation, to the importance of writing to document the species and create a compassionate audience. She also talked about the methods of story writing, be it species specific, stakeholder specific, habitat specific, community specific. in detail. She talked about the research techniques, about the importance of visiting the site, connecting with the people, talk to different stakeholders, and the art of writing. She talked about the flow, structure, and most importantly, the introduction and the factual accuracy that is important in the article. From highlighting also the cultural angle, she gave in a lot of insights, giving examples of the lifelong pairing of the Saris crane, elephants being worshipped as Mahakal, and the interesting tribal practices of the Goan communities in Satpur. And last not but not the least, she talked about that conservation is not about protecting other species, it's about protecting the future. And that's the reason we need to come together and make conservation this Jan Andolan. Thank you, Dr. Oishimaya. Now I request Shiva brother to please present a vote of thanks.
থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম। থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম, হচ্ছে ডক্টর ম্যাম, হচ্ছে আপনার অমূল্য সময় এবং আপনার অন্তর্দৃষ্টি আমাদের মধ্যে ভাগ করে দেওয়ার জন্য অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। ধন্যবাদ জানাই আমাদের সর্বদা রাইস ফাউন্ডেশনের হচ্ছে প্রতীক স্যার, আমাদের ডাইরেক্টর। ধন্যবাদ জানাই আমাদের এডিটোরিয়াল ডাইরেক্টর শ্রেয়া ম্যামকে, অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ জানাই। আমাদের ধন্যবাদ জানাই আমাদের বেঙ্গলের হচ্ছে দ্বিতীয় ওয়েবিনারে উপস্থিত থাকা সমস্ত ইন্টার্নদেরকে, এবং অনেক শুভকামনা রইল আগামী দিনে। এই বলেই আমি ধন্যবাদ ম্যাম।
Thank you, thank you. I would love if every one of you, like who has attended the interns, would write one article, related to the topics they feel about. It would be great to read the articles in the coming times. Yeah.
Yes, surely we would encourage. Thank you, Dr. Oishimaya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Yeah. Bye.